Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Barrera. We're here at Catskill Elementary, and today we are going to discuss how gangs are harmful to the community. Here are officers Sharif, Madison, and Regis, representing the Los Angeles Police Department. What's your position in the Los Angeles Police Department?
I currently work as what we call a senior lead officer, and I work in a brand new division with LAPD called the Community Relationship Division. And it's my job, my position is to go out and engage with people, kids in the community so that we can strengthen the relationship between the community and LAPD.
My name is Senior Lead Officer Rashad Sharif. I've been a police officer for over 25 years. I too am involved in the Community Relationship Division, and I enjoy coming out, meeting all of you, and I hope that I get to shake every one of you guys' hand and appreciate what you're doing and this program that you're in. Remember, LAPD police officers, we all support you.
Hello everyone, my name is Officer Matthew Regis. I am just a normal police officer, so I don't have cool stuff like that on my arm. I've been a police officer for 5 years, so I'm still a little bit new, and I look very young because I am very young. I'm only 27 years old. And I also work at the Community Relationship Division. But since I'm so young, I do a lot of the social media stuff, so Twitter and Facebook. I do a lot of stuff with all the things that, I don't know if you guys know what Twitter and Facebook is, right? Yeah. Of course, right. All right, so I work doing a lot of stuff like that, right? So that's what I do.
What made you want to become a police officer?
That's a really good question. I think I decided I wanted to become a police officer because when I was around your guys' age, I got picked on and I got bullied in school. And I remembered thinking that that felt wrong and that it wasn't okay for people to bully you or to pick on you. So I wanted it to become my life's work to make sure that I could protect people and help people. And that's why I became a police officer.
I think you'll find out that all of us have different reasons for being a police officer, but the same reason, and that reason is to help people. My passion or inspiration for being a police officer started when I was your age, and this was years ago, and I went to the library and I said, I want to be a police officer, so I found a book in the library, and it was about how to drive during a police pursuit. And I won't tell you how old I am, but the book was written in 1965. You guys know when no, you guys don't know when that was. But anyway, it was 1965, and it had a picture in the book, and it said, if you're a police officer and you're driving fast, make sure you have both hands on the steering wheel, and you stick your butt way down between the seat, and you hold on tight. So whenever I would be in my parents' car and I'd be sitting in the front seat and I'd pretend like I was driving, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in a pursuit. And I was like, oh, I want to do this when I get older and become a cop. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that just tells you part of my inspiration for being a police officer.
I became a police officer a little bit later in life. I was in my 30s. And what motivated me, I used to be what is called an investigator. And I worked for the state of California. And in what I did for the state, I used to work with other LAPD officers, and they always seemed like they were enjoying their job. So I remember I was working with a sergeant who worked for LAPD, and just in talking with him, I asked him how did he like his job, and I was doing something a little bit similar. So I just thought, you know what, this is something I want to do. And one thing I will admit that I probably haven't told a lot of my coworkers, I always thought we had the coolest uniform. I would see officers, I go, wow, uniform is cool, they have their gear and it's all nice and shiny, driving around in the car, and now I'm in a position to talk to you guys. So those are some of the reasons why I became a police officer.
Now coming up is Angel Jimenez.
How are games harmful to the community?
The reason why I feel that gangs are harmful to any community is the simple fact that gangs don't do anything that's positive. They don't help the kids. They kind of scare the kids that might live in the neighborhood, and then the gangs get involved with crimes, and then we get involved. So unfortunately, the gangs just bring a lot of negative components to a community or to a school. So I think those are some of the harmful things or reasons why I think it's a negative effect on the community.
Gangs are harmful to the community because it brings a scary feeling to you guys, to your parents, to your grandparents. When you're walking outside and you see the gang members and you don't know whether they're going to fight somebody or whether they're going to shoot someone, and it's real scary. And like my partner here, Officer Madison, says, they don't do anything good for the community. The gangs try to get you in it and make you do bad things like steal and do drugs and smoke cigarettes and do all stuff that bad kids do. So don't get involved with gangs, and they can bring down the whole neighborhood to where you won't. There's certain neighborhoods in our city where kids can't even go outside and play because the gangs have taken over the parks or they hang out in the schools. So please stay away from gangs, and if you know someone that's in a gang, please tell them to get out of it, not to join a gang in the first place.
I think my two senior officers here hit the nail on the head. Raise your hand if you like going outside and playing basketball or playing anything outside or walking. See, gangs are bad for the neighborhood or for the community, because if you live in a neighborhood that has a lot of gangs, you can't do those things. You can't go outside and play basketball or go even for a walk because you get scared, just like Officer Sharif said. And if you're scared, you don't want to do anything but stay inside and play video games all day, right? Or sometimes not even do that. Oh. So that is why I believe gangs are negative for the neighborhood.
Are the gang members you encounter juveniles or adults?
I've seen both. I've seen gang members that are adults, but lately, I want to say, especially in the past couple of years, I've been seeing more and more really, really young gang members. And I mean really young, a couple that are even your guys' age. And I didn't even know that was a thing. And it's one of those things where when you see it, it's kind of sad, and it's scary that it's happening at your guys' age. That's why we're here talking to you today, because maybe you guys think gangs are like something you see on TV or the movies, or maybe you know people that are in gangs, but it's happening. And you guys at some point, a lot of you or some of you are going to be approached, and that's why we're here to tell you to make sure that you don't do that, because all of us, represent the good things that you can do with your life. So just make sure you don't say no to gangs always. But adults and kids, to answer the question.
I've seen both, and you guys don't know, juveniles is kind of a big word, but it basically means kids. And I've seen both, but what we want to do is we want to stop the kids before they even get in a gang. Because what happened, if you get into a gang when you're a kid, and you're like, oh yeah, this is cool, I'm in a gang. And then what happens? Gangs fight. Does anybody like to get beat up and have a black eye? I saw a boy once, and he was in a gang, and they hit him in his eye, and his eye was black, and it was big like that. Yeah, exactly. That ain't good. So make sure that if you know anybody that's involved in gangs or anything like that, that they want to stay out of it. Because you don't want to be in a gang when you're a kid, and then when you grow up and you become an adult, and then you won't have a good job, and you won't even graduate from high school, and you're going to be poor. So don't join a gang.
In my work in the field, I've seen both. I've seen what they call OGs. Has anybody ever heard the term OGs before? That means original what? Gangsters, okay? And those original gangsters used to be juveniles. And when I started on the job, those are the teenagers and the kids that I would see. And like I said, I've seen both. And typically what happens is the younger gang members then later become older gang members, and it's just a cycle that you see over and over again. So the thing is, if you stop it with the young people and they never join, then, you know, once the older ones are gone, then hopefully, you know, that resolves the problem. But definitely I've seen both young and old.
Next coming up is Lynette Avila.
Would you say there is a connection between drugs and gangs?
Yes, absolutely. Every single time I've come in contact with a gang member, it always has something to do with drugs. So one of the most powerful things you can do is obviously don't join a gang, but always say no to drugs, because the two always go hand in hand, and nothing good has ever come from somebody that does a lot of drugs or messes around with gangs or anything like that. So yes.
Gangs are bad, drugs are bad. A lot of time the gang members, in order to get money, they will sell drugs, and they will fight, and they will steal. So when you have a gang member, if he wants to be part of the gang, sometimes they will make him, hey man, you want to be part of our gang? You go out there on the corner and sell some drugs. But what if he might get shot, or the police might come and put him in jail? All these are reasons why you should not be in a gang. Nobody wants to go to jail. Does anybody think jail is fun?
No.
Exactly. And drugs are bad, so stay away from both.
I would say there's definitely a connection between gangs and drugs. Again, like my coworker said, the biggest thing is now gangs are, you know, they try to make money in order to do the things they do. And one of the easiest and quickest ways to make a lot of money is, unfortunately, you know, to sell drugs to people that are on drugs. So we definitely always see that connection because, like I said, they're not going to work like your parents do. So the next alternative for them to do in order to, you know, buy the things that they use or pay rent or have a fancy car is to sell drugs. So again, obviously the message is that's not something that you want to get involved with, because then you're going to have that connection to the gangs.
What are things we can do to stay safe outside of school?
I would say to stay safe outside of school is listen. All right? Everybody knows how to listen, right? All right. Who should you listen to? Your parents. Okay? Your parents or anybody else who's in authority. Because in a lot of cases, they have been young like you and they've had experiences. So they're going to share with you because they don't want you to make maybe some of the mistakes that they made. So the best way to stay safe is listen, obey, respect your parents. Listen, respect, and obey your teachers and anybody else who's in authority, because your parents on down to us as officers, we have your best interests. We want you to be safe, be smart, go to school, do well, and the best way to, like I said, stay safe and stay away from gangs is to listen. Listen to your parents, because they're always going to tell you what's right and what's in your best interest.
Okay, so Officer Madison said make sure you listen to someone in authority. Your parents, your teacher, your older brothers, auntie, grandmama, everybody. All right? So, also, when you're in a group, when you go on leaving from school, if you have a friend or somebody you can walk with your friend. Don't just walk by yourself. If you see an alley and it don't look good, you know what? Just stay on the regular street. And also, make sure you watch out for your little brother and sister, because you may be older. You're 10, 11 years old, and your little brother is 5 years old. He want to follow you down to the park. No, make sure that your mom knows where you're going to be at all the times. Make sure if y'all playing soccer in the front yard and the ball runs out in the street, are you supposed to let your little brother go get it? No, you're supposed to make sure an adult goes to get it, or you make sure you just look one way when you cross the street, right?
No, 2 ways.
Oh, you gotta look both ways. Yes, make sure you look both ways. You guys are smart. Make sure you look both ways. And please pay attention to everything around you. And if somebody is trying to take you or grab you, make sure you scream loud and look for a police officer. You guys think we may put people in jail, but a lot of times we're here to help you guys, all right? So please pay attention.
So we'll keep it to 3 rules, right? So first rule is you always listen to your parents or whoever's at home that you respect and that you look up to at home, right? Number 2 is you always say no to drugs and gangs, right? Number 3, you never, ever, ever listen to, get into a car, or do anything with somebody that you don't know, ever. Even if they say they're a police officer. If they say they're a police officer, you ask them to see a police ID, or ask them to see something. If they say there's something wrong with your parents, don't listen to it. The most important thing to do is you only get in a car and you only trust people that you know, right? Everybody, so raise your hand if you're never gonna get in a car with somebody you don't know. All right, oh, beautiful. All right, perfect.
Hi everyone, how you guys doing? My name is Luke Watkins, and I have the pleasure of working with these fine gentlemen. It just so happens that I'm a sergeant in their unit. What that means is that basically I'm there to assist these guys to achieve whatever goals that they want to achieve. So with that being said, I'm happy that I'm here with these guys. I'm happy that we were able to come out here and put this on for you guys. I think it's a wonderful idea. You have been a great, great crowd. And with that being said, any questions?
Do you guys ever found someone spray painting?
The question is, have we ever found anyone spray painting? When I was a patrol officer, all the time. But I wasn't the kind of patrol officer that was always enforcement. My goal really was to try and help the youth out. So if I saw someone spray painting, the first thing I wanted to do was communicate with them, then make contact with their parents, and then have their parents deal with them. Yes.
How old do you have to be to go to jail?
The question is, how old do you have to be to go to jail? You need to be an adult. However, there are certain crimes that require people to be detained for a minimum amount of time. We would never take someone your age to jail. There are other programs to help you out if someone your age was engaged in criminal activity.
How did you become a police officer?
How did I become a police officer? Well, I'll just briefly let you guys know, before I became a police officer, I was in the United States Navy, and I served as a rescue swimmer. Once I got out, I applied, just like everybody else does, you apply to the Los Angeles Police Department for a position. And in a few months, I was called in to conduct an interview and go through an employee or an employment process. And upon successful completion of that process, I was offered a job. And then I went to the police academy, went on probation, and here I am now. So that's my story really briefly. Yes, ma'am, you.
How old were you guys when you guys started being in a cop?
Okay, I was 22, and I want to get back to the one question when you guys said is, what can you do to be safe out? You guys are doing it right now. You guys are in this program. You guys are not out there on the streets hanging out with the bad kids. You guys are in here doing something positive. So make sure you take advantage of this. And also, let me tell you briefly about LAPD. We have our own programs. We have our cadet program. Have anybody familiar with the LAPD cadet program? Our cadet program, you have to be 13 years old. Then you go to an academy at the police academy. And then you have a uniform that you wear for the kids to wear, and you're not even a police officer, you're like a cadet, and you get to work with us, and you get to train at the police department. So look for that program. You can look at it at LAPD_cadets, and we also have a junior cadet program. If you're between the ages of 8 and 12, you can join that. So it's at any LAPD station. And if you live in Carson, the Carson Sheriffs have an Explorer program as well. But any of these programs are good. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H Club, which they don't have anymore. I don't know if they still have it. But any programs at your park or school, you guys can get involved in it. Okay, I think we have time for how many more questions? Two more? Two more questions. And we need one good one. We need a good one.
What do the stripes on your jackets
The question was, what do the stripes on our shirts mean? So the stripes are different job titles and different rank assignments. So 3 stripes means sergeant, 2 stripes with a star is a senior lead officer, and then 2 stripes would be a training officer. No stripes means you just go to work.
What's the first job you do for when you become a police?
The question was, what's the first job you do when you become a police? So you go 6 months of academy. After you finish academy, you do 1 year of probation. So the 1 year of probation is where you do the most learning. That's when they partner you with senior officers, people, 25, 15, 10 years on the job, sometimes 30 years on the job. On the job means being a police officer, and they teach you how to do it, because you can't learn how to be a police officer in a book. You have to go out and somebody has to teach you.
I just want to ask everybody out there a question. By show of hands, who would like to be a police officer one day? Now, let me tell you the easy steps how to do that, okay? First of all, stay in school. You want to graduate from high school. All right, so everybody can do that, right? All right. Now, you have to be 21, okay, in order to be a police officer. LAPD will let you start at age 20 and a half, okay? There are some other specifics, but I won't get into those, but what I do want to share with you, most importantly, you have to have a good background, which means you have to be a good person. That doesn't mean perfect, but you can't go out and, let's say, rob a bank and then be a police officer, okay? You can't be in a gang and be a police officer. You can't use drugs and be a police officer. You can't drop out of school, be disrespectful to your parents and all that kind of stuff, because what they do when they select people for a police officer is that they look at your background. Okay, and everybody, you might have heard the thought or the saying, your past is an indicator of your future. People have heard that? So you want to have a good past. So like Officer Sharif said, what you guys are doing here today by being a part of this program, keep doing that. And I'm telling you, you'll be, out of grade school, middle school, then high school, then next thing you know, you can apply, and then you can start, at a young age like my coworkers here, or if it takes you a little bit longer like it did me, we don't have an age limit, so even your parents could be police officers. But my point is, I want you guys all to be successful in whatever you do, and the key is being a good, smart, respectable citizen, student, and all that. Because when you do those things, you have so many opportunities. You want to be a police officer, a lawyer, a doctor, all those great things and great jobs that you guys talk about in school. The key is you're starting now. You're being a police officer right now by going to school. You're being a doctor and a lawyer by studying and reading and doing your homework. So those are all the things that are going to help you for your careers. So I don't know, can we take more questions? We're good.
Now, in the closing of this program, we're going to invite one person up, and you really should know her name. The principal of the school is...
First of all, I would like to thank the officers for coming. It is such a treat. You have stepped over your boundaries by coming into Carson, but we salute you for, I know I won't tell. Thank you very much. And I want to tell you, boys and girls, I know they're out there recruiting you right now, but to become a police officer is very, very difficult. Many people don't make it the first round, or the second round, or the third round. They have to persevere. And I know this because I have friends that have tried to become police officers. So as exciting of a career as it is, and also it's a great thing in our community to have somebody watch us, they need to persevere and work very, very hard to become a police officer. I know all our boys and girls will be able to do that, and I look forward to seeing many of you after college becoming a police officer. So again, thank you very much for coming. I'm very, very proud of you for coming. I'm going to sign you up for Career Week in January. So thank you. I mean, it's really exciting.
Please give a round of applause to these 3 officers that came to our school to talk to us. Thank you all for coming, and have a great afternoon.
Right.